Welcome. So I'm going to show you some different methods of data wrangling that you can use on a CSV file for Excel. This Excel file that I'm using is something that was made up. It doesn't have any necessarily real information, but the methods that I'm going to show you are very real and things that you could come across, whether you're uploading leads or whether you're preparing data in order to upload it into a database. Okay, so the Excel file that I'm about to upload, I'm going to upload it as a text file. The reason why is because anybody that's done this before knows that sometimes when you upload things as a CSV file, Excel will modify different pieces of data and assume that you want it in certain formats, which then can really mess up your data. So I uploaded it as a text file using the delimited method. I'm actually taking care of all of the columns and calling them text. You'll see as you upload it, doesn't change anything, keeps it all as text, keeps the data safe. So everything from here, from numbers to gender, names, the title, lots of different information. The first one I'm going to start with is this amount paid. Essentially, we need to go ahead and get rid of the dollar signs, the commas. We're going to keep the decimal place, so I'm going to use a text to column method. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of any of the delimiting factors. I'm actually going to make it general. If I just went up and clicked home without using the text to column method and then click number, nothing would have changed. So I'm going to use a different custom method or a more custom number method, the one where there's no commas and goes out to 2 decimal places. So now this should be protected as well as kept as a number. There's nothing else that you need to do. You can call it text, and nothing should change. But ultimately, if you keep it as a number, it's good enough as well. So anyway, moving on, we're going to go ahead and look at another piece of data and what we can do. Something like street address is something you can do. I know a lot of people, when they're uploading leads, something like Velocify, you may want to go ahead and separate the street number from the actual street. So one of the examples that I'm also going to go ahead and show you things that you can do is something like a telephone number. Maybe this isn't the format that you want. So we're going to use something, we're going to do something very, very similar. I'm going to add a column. I'm going to use something called the text function. This is just kind of an example of what I did to create the text function. I'm familiar with the text function, but I wasn't 100% sure how to create what I wanted with the text function. So this example that I'm about to show you is just how I would problem solve using the text function. Just as simple as Google search. How to separate letters, or how to use the text function in Excel. Pretty easy search, and immediately you're able to find all kinds of things. This is exactly what I want, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this into Excel. I use this anytime I'm doing front web development as well, like with HTML or CSS, so it works just as well. Obviously, when you paste this in, it's not going to work because that's not my value, so you're going to have to switch it and modify it. Of course, we're going to have to make sure that that's fixed. And it didn't give me what I wanted. Why is that? Well, part of that is because I need to go ahead and make sure I get rid of all the spaces. So I like to use the replace method anytime that I can. So find all the spaces, replace it with no space. And immediately my formula went ahead and worked. Like I said, these aren't actual phone numbers, so it's not perfect, but a little double click there in the right hand corner and we're done. One of the things you also have to do anytime that you're using a function is you have to make sure that you get rid of the function and just paste the values. So you can either do a command copy or control copy whether you're using a map or using a Mac or a Windows computer, or you just click copy, but you're going to want to click these paste values. And now you've gotten rid of the function, so when I go ahead and I delete my column, nothing changes. Of course, we'll go ahead and get rid of the extra column, and now our telephone numbers are in the format that we need in order to be able to put it in. So now I'm going to go ahead and change the date. I'm going to do something very similar, text to column, but this time I'm going to go ahead and make this column a date. So I went to the same thing, go to home, you're going to check the different format. I'm in the custom menu. There's a lot of different date formats you can choose from. A lot of the tutorials I've been using have been from instructors from other countries. They use the year, month, date format. We're going to look down our data here. Obviously, there's another month, year format that we could go ahead and change if we wanted to. So the next one I'm going to look at, this is just kind of an example that I thought was cool. I'm going to add a couple columns here. You know, imagine you didn't want this to have the pluses and minuses next to your blood type. Well, if we go to text to column, we could use a fixed width, but the fixed width isn't going to work here because what's going to end up happening is it works for the first couple, but then when you have AB positive, you know what? You're going to separate it again. To me, that just doesn't seem like the best way to do it. There's a little bit quicker way in my mind, just something I problem solve. Let's go ahead and replace every AB with the letter C. So just kind of like a transverse property here in a second. We'll get rid of that. So now we have a single letter and either a plus or minus. So if we go back to data and we do a text to column and we do a fixed width, now this time we can go ahead and choose again how we want to separate it. So I'm going to go ahead and separate, obviously, the letter from the plus or minus sign. It works for every single one of them. And it's going to ask me here in a second. Nope, there it goes. Good deal. So as you can see, nice and separated. So now we can go ahead and go back and let's just go ahead and find every C here and let's switch it with AB again so that we can get our original values. And obviously I'm not using some dummy variable here. And now that gives us our blood type and our RH factor. The last one I want to go ahead and show is when you're concatenating. Let's say we take latitude and longitude and let's make coordinates out of this. Where do these intersect? So if you use the concatenating function where you're basically just going to take one value and connect it with another one, you can choose whichever format. I'm going to take the latitude and I'm going to put a comma in between them. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the longitude with it. And there you go. Of course, we can go ahead and apply this to all of them as we go down. Just another neat idea that you can use to data wrangle. And of course, we're going to want to make sure that we do a copy paste so that we can get rid of the formulas. And then we're going to call this coordinates instead of longitude, latitude. Thanks for watching my video on data wrangling. Hopefully gave you some ideas of different things you can use, everything from the text function to concatenating, and of course all the different various functions of the text to column feature.